Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to talk about something pretty crucial if you're doing anything online. Finding your own private space on the internet. You know, a place where your website or project can really spread its wings, without any noisy neighbors slowing you down.
So let's just start with a really simple question for you. Have you ever had that feeling where your website is just slow? Or maybe it gets totally bogged down by traffic spikes you can't even control? If that sounds familiar, well, your website might have just outgrown its current home.
To really get this, we're going to use a super simple real estate analogy. Think of your basic shared hosting plan. It's like living in a crowded hostel dormitory. I mean, yeah, it's cheap, but you are sharing everything. The kitchen, the bathroom, the noise, and your experience can be totally ruined by your roommates. A VPS, on the other hand, that's like finally getting your very own private apartment. You've got your own space, your own resources, and absolutely no noisy neighbors to worry about.
All right, this whole real estate analogy, it's pretty much the key to understanding all your options. So let's take a quick tour of the entire neighborhood, from that cheap hostel all the way up to a private mansion.
And boom, here's the entire landscape laid out for you. Down at the bottom, you've got that shared hostel for just a few bucks a month. Way up at the top, you've got the dedicated mansion. That's an entire server all to yourself, but it comes with a hefty price tag. But look right there in the middle. That's the sweet spot, the VPS apartment. It gives you that private space you crave without the massive cost.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, wait a minute, how can I have a private, totally secure apartment inside a larger building that other people are living in? And that's a great question. Well, it all comes down to some really clever technology called virtualization.
So, picture this. It all begins with one single, incredibly powerful physical machine sitting in a data center. We are talking a beast of a server, just loaded with processing power, memory, and super fast storage. This machine is the foundation for the entire apartment building.
Now, the magic ingredient that makes all of this possible is a piece of software called a hypervisor. Honestly, the best way to think about it is as the building's architect. Its whole job is to take that one massive physical server and brilliantly divide it up into multiple, completely separate virtual apartments.
And this right here just shows you exactly how that architecture works. You start with the physical hardware, that's the building itself. Then that hypervisor layer comes in. That's your architect, drawing up all the blueprints. And what's the final result? A whole floor of perfectly isolated virtual servers. That's your private apartment, totally ready for you to move into.
So what's the big takeaway here? What does this structure actually guarantee you? Well, first, you get total isolation. That means your neighbors can't peek into your apartment or mess with your data. Simple as that. Second, you get dedicated resources. The CPU power and RAM you're paying for are yours and yours alone. And finally, you get root access. That means you get the keys to the kingdom. You can install, customize, and configure anything you want.
All right, now that we know what a VPS is and how it works, let's really stack it up against the other living arrangements in the neighborhood.
I mean, when you put a VPS right next to that shared hostel, it's a night and day difference, right? With shared hosting, your site's performance can suddenly tank because some noisy neighbor is hogging all the resources. With a VPS, your resources are guaranteed. That means you get consistent, reliable performance you can count on. And, of course, you get that full root access for total control.
And this chart, it just drives the whole value proposition home. It clearly shows that a VPS hits that absolute sweet spot. You get this massive leap in power and privacy from shared hosting, but you don't have to take that giant financial leap you'd need for a fully dedicated server. For most growing projects, it is the best of both worlds.
Okay, so now you've got the keys to this powerful private apartment. What can you actually do with all this newfound freedom and control?
Oh, the possibilities are huge. You can host a high-traffic website or a busy e-commerce store and never worry about slowdowns. Or how about setting up a 24/7 game server for you and your friends? You could create a secure environment for developing new software, manage powerful databases, or even run automated crypto trading bots. Heck, you can even build your very own secure personal VPN.
Now, I know this all sounds fantastic, but I'm sure you have some practical questions bubbling up. So let's go ahead and address the key concerns you're probably thinking about right now.
Let's start with the big one, the one that worries a lot of people. Do I need to be some kind of tech genius, a command line wizard, to actually manage one of these things?
And the good news is, not necessarily. It honestly just depends on what you want to do. If you're just hosting websites, tons of providers offer what's called a managed VPS. It comes with a user-friendly control panel that makes things super easy. Now, if you want to do some really advanced custom stuff, yeah, a little technical know-how definitely helps, but it is absolutely not a requirement to get started.
Okay, next up is a really crucial question, especially since you're technically still in a shared building. How secure is your virtual apartment really?
Well, that virtualization technology we talked about does an amazing job of keeping your server completely isolated. But the best way to think about it is this. The apartment building itself has fantastic security, but you are still the one responsible for locking your own front door. You manage your own firewalls, your updates, and your passwords to keep your space secure.
And you know what? Maybe the absolute best part of all of this is just how accessible this level of power and control has become. For what most people need, you can get your very own private virtual server for a price that fits right inside this incredibly affordable range.
Ultimately, that's what this all comes down to. Moving from a crowded shared space to a VPS is about getting the keys to your very own property on the internet, a space that empowers you to build bigger, run faster, and create without limitations. The only question left is, what will you build?